We have two guests, Charlotte Changur, real estate broker, and Cheyenne, another real estate broker, that will give us some views of real estate. So I'll let Mr. Changur or Charlotte say something about himself. Go ahead.
Well, I've practiced real estate for the last, I think, 45 years. And I'm a real estate broker, mortgage broker, and a broker also in the state of Florida. I've seen it, maybe not all, but I've seen a lot of it to see the different cycles and what it takes to survive in times like this, and the paradoxes of how one can turn negative situations into positive results by maintaining a positive mental attitude and looking at the facts and don't be controlled by fear. So this is the area I work in, and sometimes you have to fit in with the times and be creative to make things work, where everyone will benefit out of this, both the buyer and seller, and the banks and whoever else gets involved in the real estate, so we can keep the economy going.
Then you have to mention also that you're also a pastor. Say something a little bit about that.
On the side, I do a little bit of pastoring. I do think that you need to make a paradigm shift. I found out that I work a lot in Oshawa, and I just spoke to one girl, and she's pregnant, and she has no place to stay. And I find that I cannot just walk and not try to help somebody like that. And so I feel our government has to do more for the members of the Canadian society, Canadians, because they're just given a handout, and they need a handout. And we need to do more to help fellow Canadians.
Some social work.
Yes, we have to. And also what bothers me is that we need to strengthen the moral fabric in our society. Many of our youths are lost. There is no moral compass for them. So we need to make a paradigm shift back into what is right and not what is politically correct.
I just hope some of our politicians looking at it to see it through your eyes.
Well, thank you so much.
And then I think Sharon have a little different view, or similar.
Yeah, I mean, so just a little bit about me. I've been investing in real estate for about 16 years. I used to work with developers quite a bit. Sold over 3,600 units, condominium units throughout the GTA. And it's only been 2 years that I've been on this side of the fence like you gentlemen, and I have a lot to learn from these professionals.
Give yourself time. Everything will come with time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
But you have a different vision or a little different business model in real estate that I think we can share with the public.
Absolutely, yeah. So I do a lot of pre-construction sales. I work with a lot of different developers in terms of essentially selling property that isn't there yet.
Right.
It's still to come.
It's to be built.
It's to be built.
It is there, but in planning stage.
Correct. The land is there and everything else, but the actual structures are there.
You start selling it as if it's not there, but you're selling something that's not there.
No, I mean, we work with a lot of reputable developers throughout the city, GTA, and abroad. Yeah, we help people kind of get into the market with that in mind, where it's not necessarily putting the full, let's say, whatever, 20, if you're investing in real estate, you have to put 20% down. So it's not putting the full 20% down right away. You're putting that in increments, and you're getting the property 3-4 years down the line, which means you're not getting a mortgage right away.
Is there a risk?
Absolutely. There's risk in anything we do with real estate, but one of the biggest risks, the developer could never develop, and never actually build the land.
You mean cancellations?
Correct. Yeah, that's a risk.
The camera is here. You gotta speak to the camera.
That one?
Yeah. Anyone.
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
All right.
You know, you're specializing in condos, right?
Correct.
What would you say candidly? Is there a market or emerging markets that can get into the condo culture, sort of? I personally think that there might be an overbuild in condos. And so I usually advise my clients that be very careful going into high-priced condos, because the first thing that I believe to fall will be those high-priced properties.
You know, the word high price is all relative. However, again, it has to do with risk and reward. There's always a risk in investing in future. This is very similar to buying stocks or buying in the future. It can go up and it can go down. However, in Ontario, we have been very fortunate. So far, there's no decade that real estate have gone down. And that is a very, very magical thing for us in investing in real estate.
I mean,
What do you say?
I would have to agree. Over the last 50 years, we've averaged about 6.7% in terms of appreciation per year. Now, obviously, what that means is some years you're actually going 10, 12, 15%. Other years you're going 3, 4. But for the most part, in the GTA, we've done very well over the long run. And one thing I attribute, just to go back to your question, one thing I attribute that to is that over the last decade especially, and even beforehand, we've been reliant on immigration here in Canada and here in Toronto.
Yes.
Without immigration, we wouldn't actually be able to do what we're doing. We wouldn't be able to be, like there's places in the United States or even in Canada that's actually real estate prices have been declining. And the reason for that simply is because of the population has also been declining. So really real estate, the way I see it or how I've been kind of taught about it, has more been about supply and demand. So right now as it stands, I mean your thesis, your hypothesis is correct, because we're at a point right now in the market where we don't have a lot of immigration, we don't have foreign students, we don't have a lot of the fundamentals of what makes Toronto, right? Because of what's happening with COVID and everything like that.
But I believe the federal government is starting to make some changes with regards to immigration. And I think they're being very aggressive.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be something of just about 1 million. Is that about 1 million? In the next 3 years, 1.5 million, some number of that, to be coming to Canada. And statistically, no matter which part of Canada immigrants came, I think they say it's about 40% within 5 years will end up in the GTA. So that's a very huge pressure in terms of pricing and demand. What do you think, Charlie?
You know, there's an undercurrent. I mean, if you look at certain things, there's some trend which is a bit disturbing too. This COVID has changed the culture, the way we work, the way we live, how we meet,
How we do business?
how we do business. I found that people are saying, you know what? I don't want to be cooped up in an apartment downtown. I don't want to be stuck here going back and forth. It's too Monday. And so I want to go I'm really work from home. I want to enjoy life. I want to go to cottage country. And that is why cottages or waterfront properties that were selling for 500,000 is selling for 650,000 today. It's unbelievable. And people are going outside of the GTA, wherever, they're going an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Why? Because they can work from home and connect with their clients. And if they have to come in once in a while into the city, that's fine. So they're saying, we want to live life out in the country, enjoy ourselves whilst working. So it's a different mentality.
But then again, infrastructure is most important. Meaning Wi-Fi, high-speed internet is very, very crucial. I'm doing some development, and I think smart homes is the way to continue. I'm sure, Cheyenne, you know about the condos. As the condos gets newer, there's more bells and whistles. Alright?
Absolutely.
Alright? Maybe you could say something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of developers are coming out with different technology within the condominiums themselves. Like you have license plate readers, so you don't have to actually use a fob to get into the parking. You have ways of actually booking the different amenities so that it's very easy to do instead of having to go through so many different steps.
Would you call it a smart building?
Some buildings are becoming that. So what they're doing is also including smart features within the condominiums themselves. And what that means is that you can control your lighting, you can control your heat, you can control your shades, everything like that in terms of just making the environment what you want it to be. As well as security and different things like that. So absolutely, developers are catching on to that trend, and that's becoming more and more something prevalent that we're seeing in developments. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, Charlotte, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
in terms of people do not have to be in the downtown GTA core. They can go out and still be as effective of a citizen doing their work.
I mean, part of that question, I think, begs the question, I guess, of whether or not, like, how companies see it. So we're out of the office right now, hence why it's you have to work from home because no one can actually go to work. But how is efficiency doing? How are people interacting in these different virtual environments? And will that last? Will that last past COVID? Is a question that I think is yet to be seen, obviously, but it's something that we need to address.
Well, you have to look at the factors surrounding this whole phenomenon, COVID-19. I mean, office buildings are sitting vacant because people aren't going to work, they're working from home. Small businesses, restaurants, or service industry, they're suffering. You see malls, people are closing out, there's more empty commercial spaces.
Well, the commercial real estate has taken a huge hit.
Yeah, but not all commercial.
Not all
There is
commercial.
industrial. People want storage space, and actually the commercial market is in the industrial areas where people need large storage areas.
You mean the
Because
industrial sector?
a lot of business is done online.
A matter of fact, funny enough, I've seen some office buildings, multi-level office buildings, are now turned into storage. It's very interesting. They are now being revamped for the use of storage, which means you can literally go and rent that storage room on the 10th floor.
So I got a question for you guys. Like, even before COVID hit, we've had an issue with commercial, and you guys, I believe both of you gentlemen do a lot of commercial real estate. What is going to happen to the retail sector? Where is that going? Because from what it seems like, besides malls, retail is kind of dying.
Yes.
So what is the evolution for that? Where are we going next?
I believe at this time, there isn't a form direction of retail. But one thing we know, people are not going to stop buying and not going to a store. However, because of COVID, how they go and how they shop will be very different. It's so different at this time that retail itself, the large malls, will have to start to reformat their style, how stores are presented. And that is, we are at this stage now, they're trying to figure it out, how they will go.
For,
Sure.
one of the biggest markets for in-store purchases and stuff comes from the baby boomers.
Yes.
And they don't like to shop online. I, as a baby boomer, don't like that. So I want to go into the store and look and see what I'm buying and be comfortable with it. But you know what? I'm finding it more comfortable going online and shopping. It works out cheaper. And so the biggest market, the people with the money that can spend, is not going into stores. So there's going to be a problem with these big spaces. They're going to have to convert it to something else. Because I could see once COVID leaves us that they will redesign the way people think. Or like my buddy, I have a guy named Sean, he says people have to think differently than bricks and mortar. So he's very careful because there's a trend. I mean, coming to the condos, the apartments, the rental space, there are owners that is reducing their rentals, what they're renting their condos for, or their space.
You mean the rental rate?
The rental rates, that's what I'm talking about. And if you notice in the GTA downtown, there's not a lot, but there's a situation where landlords have to take less than what they got a year ago.
A lot.
And they're paying more money outside. We need to take this in hand. And I think the government needs to, because immigration is very important. It's a turnkey. I mean, when an immigrant comes here, they buy homes, they rent a home, they buy clothes, they buy furniture, they buy whatever, they blind. So they keep the economy going in all areas. Very important.
Just be very careful, it's not only immigrants. We still do have local people.
Oh yeah, the locals, but what I'm saying, as my friend here said, that immigration is very important to boost an economy, and I think they'll have to look at this.
Well, I believe immigration itself for Canada, looking at the landmass that we have, we literally don't have people. We need to have lots more people to make Canada a viable economy on a global basis.
But we have to make sure we get the right immigrants. I'm a guy very strong in this. We need to protect who we are as Canadians and our culture, our value system, and who we are. And if we get people who make demands on our culture, our heritage, our way of life, because we need to fit in with their way of life, no, we will not stand for that.
So I have a question now for you gentlemen. So in the next 3 years now, the Canadian government said that they're gonna, not to mention, we're gonna have about 1.2 to 1.5 million people coming into the country.
To Canada.
To Canada, exactly. But obviously we know Ontario has about 40% of the population, about 60% of the jobs. So when you're looking at the whole Canadian scale, so we're gonna get the bulk of that, right? Just like when I first came to Canada, I mean, we were moved out to New Brunswick, but then after a year we couldn't find jobs there, so we came to Ontario, to Toronto. So what is that? What do you guys think when you hear about that type of influx of immigration over the next 3 years? Like, you guys have been through a lot, so you've seen it all, kind of thing. Where You've seen years where we haven't had as much immigration and years where we've had exceptional immigration. And now we're gonna have the most immigration on the books. So what does that mean to you, I guess?
What is that?
You know, we need to bring people who can invest and create jobs. So we need to bring people here with some money. But in the old days, you know, the older immigrants, they came here with nothing. And they built, and they had to build, they came with a working. And so we need to shore up our skills, our technology, or research and development, but more so, the government has to initiate programs whereby they can train Canadians to hold meaningful jobs, because there are some immigrants that come in and they're holding IT jobs making 180, 200,000. I'm sure my fellow Canadians, if the government takes an interest in training them and giving those people that are disadvantaged an opportunity to grow within our society by investing in them, because we need to have people, because we're in a technological age and we need to compete. We're in the world stage, so we need to be ready, willing, and able. And I think we're poised. We have the landmass, we have the resources. It's just that we need to work on this area where we can educate and teach people how to help to build our society a lot better, but getting the right immigrants to come in here, because we need to protect our culture and heritage.
Well, in my view also, I agree with you. However, what's been happening, the federal government